So, I wanted to share today 11 things that you can do as a music parent, whether your child takes piano, violin, viola, or any instrument really. 11 things that you can do to help them stick with the instrument, be excited to learn, and practice, because those are some of the biggest things I hear is parents have a hard time getting their children to practice. Some of the things we're going to talk about are probably going to offend some, or they'll be unexpected, but I'm just going to be completely honest. I've taught music for a very long time now, and I know what works and I know what doesn't work. So the first thing you want to do is, if your child takes piano, move the piano to a common area. And if they play violin or viola, let them practice in a common area. It can be in like a living room or just on the main floor, so that they don't feel isolated and alone. Your child's going to be more interested in practicing if they know that they're not isolated on a completely different floor or shut away in a different room. That is a big, big, big game changer for a lot of people, is just moving the instrument or where the child practices into a more pleasant place. You want to make sure that it's in a place that's not full of distraction. Like if somebody's watching television and the piano's in the same room, you don't want that situation to be going on. But you want it to be in a place where it's inviting to practice. A bright room, by a window, or in the room next door to where mom is working, or anything like that. If your child plays violin or viola, sometimes letting them play and practice outside is a fun change of pace. So just be creative with the location, with your instrument. Also, this is a big one as well. You want to make sure that you have a quality instrument. A lot of people I hear will say, well, we're just gonna, get a cheap instrument, or we just got a keyboard and threw it on a table because we're not sure if they're gonna stick with it. I can tell you right now, they're not going to stick with it. It's the equivalent of playing basketball in high heels. You have to have the right equipment to enjoy what they're doing. So it doesn't cost a ton of money to get a decent instrument. You can rent violins and violas for pretty cheap and have them insured and pay maybe $30 a month, and you can get a decent instrument. With piano, I highly recommend getting an acoustic. Keyboards are a no. They do not work. They're not even the same thing. A digital piano also is not ideal because the touch is different and you have plastic keys, which makes it really difficult to practice certain techniques on. You want to get an acoustic instrument. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on them. You can find a decent instrument for a few $100s, 1,000 tops. And then you can look into buying a better instrument later if that is the case later. So that would be number one. Number two, be in the know. Do not be a hands-off music parent. Hands-off music parents means the child will not stay with lessons. They are going to feel, again, isolated. So how do you be in the know? If your child is young, I would say under 10, every kid's different. So the more mature the child is, then this wouldn't be as big of a necessity. But sit in the lessons. Know what your child's learning. Know how the teacher teaches. Know what the teacher's expectations are. And help the teacher, if you feel like the teacher doesn't really understand your child as well as what they could, help the teacher understand your child, okay? My child struggles with large amounts of homework, so let's maybe cut this in half. Talk to the teacher. Know what your child is supposed to be doing. And if you don't sit in the lessons, then you can look through your child's assignment and ask them, what are we supposed to be working on this week? And just kind of have an idea of what they should be doing. The third thing that kind of goes along with that would be communicate with the teacher. It's what I call the triangle method. You need the parent, the teacher, and the student. All three must work together for lessons to be successful and for your child to stick with their lessons. The teacher and the parent need to be in communication on expectations. Being in the know too could just be sending the teacher an email and saying, hey, I'm not sure what my child's supposed to be doing this week. Can you let me know? And then also talk to your child. And if the teacher is a good teacher, they're going to be talking to your child. So you want all three of those. You want a three-way communication going on so that you have that triangle. And when you have that triangle, then it's going to be far more successful. Your child is going to enjoy lessons. You're going to be like, okay, I know what we're supposed to be doing, instead of like, I don't know what's going on. So those would be the top 3. The 4th thing would be practice with them. Especially if your child is little, you really should practice with them every day. And you don't have to know music to be able to do this. And some teachers, and in my studio, I allow this, and just ask your teacher, I want to sit in my child's lesson. Can I video the lesson so that I can practice with them exactly how you have been teaching them today? Because a lot of what we do in lessons is practice with them and show them how to practice and learn things. So you can sit in lessons and know what they're supposed to be doing, and then sit down with them each day at home and practice with them. The younger the child, the better it is to do that. And it's actually really a necessity to sit down with them and practice every day. As they get older and they're more independent and can practice on their own, then step in and say, hey, what are you working on this week? Can you play your favorite piece for me that you're doing this week? So they feel encouraged, and they're like, hey, mom and dad are really interested in what I'm doing. So then they're going to want to stick with it even more. The next thing, number 5, and these all kind of mesh together in a way, but number 5 would be encourage them. And that's one way to encourage them, is to, be like, what are you working on this week? Or can you show me what you learned this week? Even if you have no interest in music and know nothing about it, ask them, show me what you learned. They would be thrilled to teach you something and be like, oh my gosh, I just taught my mom how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. Another thing to do is know that it doesn't matter how much your child loves music or how talented they may seem. Every child gets to a point in their music studies where they're going to want to quit. There are times where music does get very hard. There's nothing that we can do about it to simplify some things. That's just how it works. And it's during those times that you have to be really firm and tell them, you're not quitting. Let's talk to your teacher, or let's work at this together and figure out how to get through this. And honestly, music, a lot of it is teaching life skills, letting them see that, diligence and hard work pays off eventually, and that they can accomplish something. So just know that there will be difficulties. When those difficulties come, don't buckle and say, okay, you can quit. No, tell them, you know what? I know it's difficult right now, but let me see how I can help you. Or let's talk to your teacher and see how we can make this easier or more manageable. Or maybe it's a concept that we set aside for a while and work on something else until they're a little bit more mature mentally or physically and able to accomplish that task. Number 6, be realistic. And this swings both ways. Be realistic in the fact that your child is not going to master their instrument in 2, 3, or 5 years. It literally takes a lifetime to really truly master an instrument. And if they really are serious about it, they will have to practice many hours a day. So just know they're not going to be able to play Für Elise after 2 or 3 years of taking music lessons. Also be realistic in the fact that, we can push them and we can try to get them to be able to do advanced things quickly, but it's really not the best way to go about it. So you need to trust your teacher, find a good teacher. I'll make a video on that another time on how to find a good teacher, because that really does matter. But if you have a good teacher, trust your teacher, talk to them, and trust their judgment, and be realistic. Know that, your child isn't going to really learn piano if we just play their favorite things all the time. There are things in piano, violin, and viola that a student must do that is not fun, but they have to do it in order to learn the instrument and be able to play those more difficult, fun pieces. Number 7, make it a priority. Your child will not stick with their music lessons if you don't make it somewhat important. If it's put on the back burner and practice really isn't important, or you miss a lot of lessons, your child is going to go ahead and just through osmosis come out thinking this really doesn't matter, it's not important, and they're going to lose interest and they're going to get bored. Their progress will be slow and they will quit. So make it a priority. It doesn't have to be something that you're like, okay, we are going to do this diligently all the time, every day. Again, that's going back to being realistic. I know there are some teachers that say they need to practice 7 days a week. I don't do that. I only require 5 days for my students because I believe in balance. But you need to make it in somewhat of a priority so that your child realizes, yeah, this is a fun activity, but it's also something that my parents are paying a lot of money for, and I should probably work hard at this. And then they'll be more encouraged to stick with it, because when they do work hard and it is a priority and they are consistent with showing up their lessons, progress will be at a steady incline, and that will be encouraging to them, and they'll start to enjoy what they're doing a lot more, and they'll want to stick with it. Number 8, another big one, and I told you these all kind of mesh together, so this goes along with being a priority. Make practice a daily routine. And I tell everyone, make it like, brushing your teeth or eating your dinner or taking a shower. Make it part of your daily routine. And what I mean by that is schedule practice at the same time every day if possible. So if your child is in school and you know that when they get out of school, they're going to really be tired. So maybe when they get home from school, they have a snack and they rest, or they go play outside and get some energy out. And then they come practice for 30 minutes from 4 to 4:30. And if you make it part of their routine, they're going to get in the habit of it. And all of a sudden, it will also lessen the fighting and be like, I don't want to practice. It'll just be part of the routine. And they'll get in the habit of it. And then it'll just kind of happen. And then eventually, you won't even have to really tell them. They'll just kind of go sit down and practice, or go get their violin or viola and just start practicing. So make it a daily routine. And then figure out what days work best for practice. Like in my studio, I tell my students usually Monday through Friday works, because then they can work around, school and do all their practice, and then they have the weekend free to do whatever they want to do. But I have some students who have really busy days, like Tuesday they have school and they have ballet and then they have basketball and they just do not have time to practice. So then they practice Monday, skip Tuesday, and they do the rest of the days, including Saturday, and then they have Sunday off. Number 9, let your child do it. So this is kind of a two-way thing. Sometimes, and this is more honestly with the little students, I figure that I see this a lot. Even if your child, I teach as young as 3, even if they're 3, 4, 5, and you think, I don't know that they can actually do this, they probably can. Let them try at least. Guide them, but let them try. Because if they can try and they see that they succeed at it, they're going to be really excited and want to keep doing that. And they're going to kind of feel like a really big kid. Another thing to let them do is, sometimes, this isn't super common, but it has happened, where they will bring like their music theory that's a workbook to you and be like, can you do this for me? Or a big thing that I have actually seen is they'll take it to a sibling and say, hey, can you do my theory for me? That should be a hard no. No, they need to do it themselves. And if they don't understand how to do it, encourage them to say, hey, you know what? At my next lesson, I need to let my teacher know that I don't understand and that I need help with this. The next thing, this one's kind of obvious, and this one I know people kind of get offended by, but I'm going to just tell you straight up. Don't let quitting be an option. It costs a lot of money to do music lessons, and plus you have to get the instruments. It takes time, and it needs to be a decision that's made with everyone, and I'm going to just be straight up black and white on this. When you approach taking music lessons, it should not be with the mindset of, we're going to try this and see if they like it. I can already tell you, after all the years of teaching, your child will not stick with it, and you will be gone in 3 to 6 months. That's what I've seen. So if you want your child to do music, it needs to be, we're doing this, and then set a time frame. For example, like when I was a kid, my parents said I could not quit lessons until I graduated high school. So that was a big commitment. But it taught me that, you know what, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to fulfill what I said that I was going to do. And then I have some students whose parents will say, okay, I had one student a couple years ago, her mom said, I want you to take 3 years of piano. After that, you can decide if you want to switch instruments or stay with piano. She studied with me for a while, and after she hit her 3 years, she decided to switch to guitar, and she loves guitar, and she's doing great. And I still see her on occasion, and we're very happy to see each other. She's doing amazing. She's very excited about her lessons. So set a goal, have a goal in mind. It can even be something of, your child may want to do piano, for example, because they want to learn how to play for Elise. So say, okay, If you're going to do piano, then you're going to stick with it until you can play for release. So have a goal, set a goal. And then honestly, usually when your child reaches that goal, they're probably going to say, you know what, I want to stick with this. Or like my one student, I'm going to switch instruments. But either way, music will be a part of their life forever. Lastly, make it fun. Music doesn't have to be dry and boring and all practice and scales and technical exercises. No, it can be fun. In some ways that you can make it fun for them are, for example, showcase their playing. Call up grandma and grandpa, put them on, Skype or something, or FaceTime and say, hey, Jimmy wants to play what he learned this week in lessons for you, and let him play. Or, put together a small little performance for friends and family to come over and have a little miniature recital night with some snacks and some fun. And you can even get together with some other friends that play music or like sing or do anything like that. You guys can get together and contact like a veterans community or like assisted living communities and things like that and say, hey, we'd like to come one night and just entertain, your people for an evening. And they would love that. And a lot of places will say yes to that. So showcase what their abilities are. It doesn't matter if all they can play is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. People love to hear children play instruments. They're going to be so excited. They will clap for them and love that they came to even play for them, and it will encourage your child. And honestly, that's what music is about, is sharing it with the community. So give your children the opportunity to share what they do, even if it's just teaching you or, a cousin or a friend. Let them share what they know and share what they can do. Some other ways you can make learning music fun is you can find on the internet. You can go to like Teachers Pay Teachers or Etsy or even just like free printables online and find practice charts and let them put stickers or whatever on there and say, hey, when you get so many days of practice, we're going to go have an ice cream party or we're going to go get pizza and a movie. And just make it fun. Encourage them. Use incentives. And I know some people are very against incentives. In my experience, incentives make things better. And don't we also have incentives as adults? I mean, really, let's get through this work week and then this weekend we're going to go do XYZ. That's an incentive. So that's life. Incentives are great ways to encourage your children to practice. And, if your child is sitting down and, practicing, but they're not really practicing what they're supposed to, you can stiffen the incentive and say, hey, if you can play all 3 of your pieces really well by Saturday, then we'll go do something fun. So those are 11 ways that you can help your child want to stick with lessons, that you can help them be successful at lessons. And honestly, it makes lessons better for them. It makes the teacher's life a little easier and better with teaching, and it makes your life easier and better too. So I hope these things help. If you have other ideas and things that work for you, feel free to share them in the comments. If you have questions on anything, just let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to make a video. But I hope this helps some of you in understanding how to help your child with their instrument, how to learn it. Also, just remember this, you don't have to know music at all. You can be completely illiterate in music and you can still do these things and help your child and assist them, and they will turn out to be great musicians. And some of them may not be great musicians. That just may not be something that they want to do, but they will learn enough music to be able to carry it into an adult life and sit down and enjoy, playing some simple pieces and just, relaxing and enjoying making some music. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.